right, everyone, this is another good episode of On the Road to Greatness. And I'm your host, Elton, and I'm with my left hand man, Christopher Columbus Cook. What's going on, son?
Man, things are good, easy breezy, lemon squeezy.
Man, you can always count on you to make up something smooth, just like that.
Yep, I'm
Bro,
smooth.
I'm
Smooth
feeling
like butter.
hyped about this episode today. We're talking about customer service.
What were they
Once again,
thinking?
it's about customer service. And man, we got an interesting segue. We're going to call it What Were You Thinking? It's about
What were they thinking?
what were they thinking. You just tell us the experience. We're going to share our experience about something that happened to us and just end it off with what were he or she thinking. And I know you got an interesting story, Chris. Tell us about it.
Man, I do actually have an interesting story. This was a customer service experience I had had. I had a wedding to go to. I just flown in. I get into Walmart and I'm looking for white tee because we're having to wear the white button up collared shirt, and it's kind of see through when you wear white, and I didn't want to see people to see my pinky
That's true.
flesh, So I was like, okay, I need a white tee, and I said, okay,
Yep.
so
It-
I need a white tee.
Especially when people start sweating, bro. You don't want to be seen rated R.
Yeah. So I'm looking for a white tee, and for the white tees, I need a specific size because I know they shrink. So I tend to get a size bigger than what I need. So I see
Mhm.
the associate, and I say, "Excuse me, but I'm looking for, a double X, so that way I know where it would shrink. So it'd be about an XL, which is, kind of soggy around the midsection." So
Uh-huh.
and she goes, well, kind of what we have there is what we have. And I say, are you sure you don't have anything in the back? You just haven't maybe stocked it yet, because I'm trying to make use of my time and not have to go to every single Walmart just to find the size that I need. And
Right.
she's like, puts her stuff down. She's like, she's irritated from the get. And I was kind of like, okay. And then she says, nope, it ain't here. And then I said, like, are you okay? Like, I just asked, if there was a size. I'm really not trying to, no disrespect. And she was just like, no, but I just told you that what we have here is what we have. And I was just like, wow, okay. And she
She is
just,
tripping.
she just came at me real strong, And so I said, okay, all right, thanks, And so I walk off and I find the next associate and I say, look, I'm trying to find a white tee. I'm not really getting any help over in that department. And instantly she goes, okay, let's figure some stuff out. Let's check inventory. So she checks inventory and says, well, it says we should have one XL at least, because I couldn't even find XL at this point. I could only see large, because I was like, well, I'll even settle for an XL if I can't find a double XL. And
Uh-huh.
and she's like, says we have one XL here in the system. That's strange. And she was like, let me call around some stores. Maybe some other stores have it. So she starts calling around and like she just very
Nice.
and she didn't even work in that department. And I just was like, wow, like, and instead of me leaving, I actually ended up just buying the XL. And
Right?
right. And so I was like, so here's the thing. Like, not only did she help me basically settle with something just so that I could be on my way, like that's
Uh-huh.
money now in Walmart's pocket because of how she treated. But they almost lost my money because of how another associate handled the situation. And so here's what's funny is actually that same associate, and I don't know what I was thinking. I was kind of like ninja mode, I guess, but I overheard the same associate that was kind of just real stanky with me start griping about her interaction with me to the associate who helped me. And I was like, that's interesting. And so I actually went up to I said, hey, who do I talk to give a praise? and they were like, "Oh, that'd be me." And I said, "Look, I want to talk about, dot 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 was her name. I can't remember her name, but over in the women's fitting area, she helped me like nobody other. She was incredible,
Mhm.
very helpful." And then they gave her a shout out, and then I went back and I told her myself. She's like, "I know, I heard it on the overhead. Thank you so much. Like I've been waiting for my review and I've been really waiting for it and to help my mom and she's like, can I hug you right now?
Wow.
Can I hug you? And she like gave me a hug and I was like, absolutely. I was like, I really just wanted you to have praise. I was like, honestly, there was another customer service associate. She kind of just really didn't want to help me. I think she, or maybe she was just having a bad day. I don't know. But I said, I
Mhm.
would much rather leave this store praising you than giving her negative behavior attention.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, and here's the part I'm gonna ask you. Which one was
Yeah.
younger and which one was older?
Wait, wait, wait. Run that again.
I'm gonna ask you which associate that I was dealing with
Uh-huh.
was two associates. Which one do you think was younger and which do you think was older?
Bro, the one that did well was the youngest, and the one who did horrible was the oldest.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's interesting, kind of an interesting paradigm, especially because you know, when you start hearing how people talk about millennials and how they, maybe treat other
Hmm.
people and how kids are these days, and
That's
yeah,
right. That's right.
yeah. So that was my experience, man, and it left a such an impact on me that day. How she handled it, how she handled me. That occasionally I still go into Walmart.
Man, age is just a number. Don't ever forget it.
Yeah.
You can be as young Timmy, but as wise as Solomon, and you can be as old as Sam. Who is old? Well, you could be as old as Abraham Lincoln, but can be as immature as a toddler, man. I didn't want to call any names and get in trouble. So I just
My
had to, I had to just swap. But
censorship,
the point I'm trying
censorship.
to say is, man, shout out to the millennium, man. There's still some good ones out there. Plenty of them too.
Yeah. Well, I wonder like how much of a myth that is. It's like people are just going to be people because
Hmm.
I could run into the same person just as same age and
Yep.
maybe they wouldn't be as helpful. And then an older person who was
True.
the same age as that other associate who was older, was
Uh-huh.
extremely helpful. I think it just really depends. And I'll play devil's advocate and say, who knows what was going on in her day? She does work at Walmart, and I know that the customer service industry is a very challenging industry with very little pay, and it
Yeah.
can be frustrating. And then you've got all the personal stuff at home on top of it. And Portland's not
Hmm.
cheap to live in, so who knows what she was going through that day. I'll definitely play devil's advocate with it, but all the same, meaning that I needed a white tee,
Man, if that was Mr.
regardless
Walton
of
that
whatever
rolled
she
up,
was
though,
going through. I still needed it.
did you hear what I said? I was like, suppose you was Mr. Walton and he rolled up. Yo,
Right,
you just never know who you're gonna interact with, and that's why they said, listen, your first impression is the most lasting one.
right, absolutely.
And you always got to be ready, man. You always got to be ready because when your opportunity come, ready or not, here we go.
Here we go.
But you have to also understand it's also a mental thing.
Yep, sure is.
You have to be mentally ready, man. Listen, it's easy to come to work and just say, "Hey, I had a bad day. It is what it is." But
So, are there
the
some things
difference
that you
between
do to get mentally ready?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But the difference between the amateurs and the pros are they know how to switch on and switch off. It's easier said than done
Right. So, what are some things
because
you do to get mentally ready?
hmm what was that?
What are some things that you do to get mentally ready?
Man, I listen to music, I watch videos, I read, but sometimes I just inspire myself. Like sometimes before I go in a close, I look at myself and say, "Hey, they're waiting in there just for you. Go get them."
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
you have come this far. Hey, don't screw it up now. And everybody have their own thing,
Right.
but sometimes what I do is, believe it or not, I listen to Christmas music because I get happy. And when you're happy, it just translate that emotion onto them and they become happy. And believe it or not, hey,
Yeah.
jingle bells get the change in your pocket, put it that way, the money in your pocket.
Jingle bells make
And
your pockets
swindle.
jingle.
Yes, sir.
Jingle
Yes,
bell,
sir. You
jingle
know,
Yeah,
bell, jingle bell.
but I mean, people just think of customer service sometimes, but it's really deep. I think it's a lifestyle, my friend. I think it's a lifestyle because
I think so
customer
too.
service
Yeah, I
do not
think.
stop when you
Yeah.
leave work. Now, I'm speaking from an entrepreneur point of view.
Mm-mm.
For those who probably just work for some other company, they clock in, clock out. They're not in the hustling game. I can understand that mentality. It's like, why should I? I leave work at work. When I'm off, I'm off. I get it. No, no harm, no foul.
Hmm.
If you're in the sales business or
Right.
real estate, or even an entrepreneur who just getting started, you hardly turn that off because everything you do, you eat, you sleep, you breathe. Hey, I need to put revenue or get revenue, for my business. And I respect that hustle. So even when you're out, hey,
Right.
what's a good problem? This and this, and I could help you with that. And that's what I like about Zig Ziglar. He said, salesmen are just more than what meets the eye. They are problem solvers. And that's the truth right there. We have a situation, we know what can fix that, and we'll give you a fair trade for you to solve your problem. And that's basically what it is. Your car broke
Right.
down, well, hey, here's the solution. I have a good looking car, it's brand new, and for a fair price that we both agree upon, you can have access to from point A to B. Here you go, cha-ching, boom, everybody's happy. Now, of course, it's more than that,
Bada bing, bada
but I
boom.
mean, that's what basically it is. And that's why customer, I believe customer service is a lifestyle because I, I don't know how to explain it, but
Right.
I'm gonna give you when someone has gone beyond, above and beyond. I don't know why, but I feel my hair stands up. Like you feel it. I don't know about you, but don't you feel it when you feel like, man, this person didn't have to do this, but they went above and beyond. I feel it. I feel it in such a way, like,
Absolutely.
my hairs literally stand up, and it's a good feeling. I love feeling that. Like somebody take the time out of the day to take a length out of your hair,
Absolutely.
your clothes. Those little details, let me tell you, man, it makes the difference. It makes a difference, you know. And
Absolutely.
one thing about customer service is, hey, it bleeds up because just by you treating that person and going extra mile, you know what end up happening? They in turn treat someone and they just pass it on.
Hmm. Yep. And the thing I think that are in the customer service industry should remember is
Hmm.
it's a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone to where you're gonna go next. And I remember, I'll be honest with you, I failed many times in the customer service industry, maybe from just being young and stupid and just
Mm.
not thinking things through. But I definitely failed many times, and it was through those experiences. And now in my age, I'm a man now. Um, and I'm able to look back and say, wow, okay, I kind of definitely blew that one. I remember my first job actually was at one of my
Uh-huh.
first jobs was at Wendy's. Um, it was right across from my high school, so I could go to baseball practice. I could go from there straight to Wendy's, and then I could just head right home. And there were several instances where I had customers come at me sour, and I kind of thought, I don't get paid enough to really deal with how they're coming at me. And I remember maybe catching a little bit of tude, or Um, there was a situation, I think, even with my manager, and she had asked me to put less pickles on it, and I said, "Why? Like, what's wrong with the amount of pickles?" I should have just said yes, ma'am, and then dealt with the pickles. But when you're young and stupid, and maybe you're me, I don't know. You get argumentative, and you wonder, and you make pickles a bigger deal than it really needs to be. But as I went through that process and started growing up, I started seeing how dealing with people and just saying yes really simplifies it, and it really impresses other people around you. It's a leadership quality in terms of being able to differentiate between what's worth um, arguing about or making a
Yeah.
bigger deal than it is. You know what I mean? Uh, because there are certain situations where in a work environment where you are going to be frustrated with what they're asking of you, and they may be asking too much, and then they get mad at you, and situations where maybe they're just full out right cussing at
Uh-huh.
you, and now it's just an unhealthy work environment, and it's become this place that you dread to go, and they wonder why you're not performing well, and you just dread being there. So you know
Which begs the question, Chris, is the customer always right?
is the customer always right? No, they're not. I think that there is a way that you tell them that they're not right that makes them happy, as opposed to just telling them no, you're wrong, and being really like rude about it.
Hmm. Hmm.
No, they're not always right, especially from a designer's point of view. I do freelance design on the side, and I have people ask me, about creating logos for them, and sometimes their ideas, the client's idea, is not always uh, the route that
Hmm.
they think they want to go. So, like, part of the design for designing is you kind of want to show them why your idea is
Right.
better and why they want to
Hmm.
go.
Man, it to me it all depends, man. It all depends. But for the most part, I
Yeah,
see and you answer. I think you answered it correct. The customer is not always right, but how do we rectify it into the point where we reach a medium, some type of understanding where we both walk away happy. You know, many
yeah.
times.
I would say how to do that is just being tactful, being very tactful, being conscientious of, who your client is. They are paying you to do a job, or your boss that you work for, or the client that you have
Mhm.
that you're selling Solgen to. Whatever the case may be, or and we're kind of talking a lot about jobs here too, but even in just a relationship, it's just tactful ways to communicate without making somebody feel like they were just completely wrong, and,
Uh-huh.
and they just need to just be quiet, or however some people deal with it. You know what I mean? It's just,
You know what? It's interesting you say that because I think here's what I think. A lot of these customer service problems can be avoided sometime from the it can be avoided by certain things the company do,
mhm.
such as you know set, make your service or the whatever product you're providing, service or product, state it for what it is. Don't false advertise. You know what I mean? Many
Yeah,
times a lot of confusion could have been avoided, by simply, being clear about what your agenda is. You know what I mean?
right.
And setting up proper expectations. And I think that's very crucial because many times misunderstanding and bad customer service evolves from miscommunication. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely spot on. Communication is key, and communication is can be taught. The question is if you're willing to learn. Um,
Mhm.
I would say a good portion of communication is
Yeah,
just listening. That's something that I think some people just don't do. Some people talk more
that's
than they
true.
listen.
Remind me of a story. There was this particular client who bought something from the store, and when she got home, she realized it was damaged. Now she went back to the client, I mean, to the company where she bought it from, and she said, "Hey, can I replace this? This one is damaged." And the person who was working with the registrar said, "No, there's no returns because apparently she bought it from the clearance aisle, and unknown to her, there is a policy where no return. You know, you saw it as it was, and it's already almost for free. You know, clearance aisle, and that's that." And the old lady was like, "I've been
Hmm.
shopping here for over 25 years. Why aren't you going to allow me to do this? You know, I did not notice it, blah, 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 blah." And she said, "Hey, that's, client, I mean, policy." And then as she was walking out, she so happened to walk past the manager, and the manager said, "Hey, how did you find your shopping experience here?" And she said, "Horrible." And she relayed the same story to him, and he said, "You know, it's not our company policy, but because number one, you were loyal, and you've been, you was unaware of this, we'll make an exception for you." Now, I think, and basically the story end on a happy note. Let me close that aspect first. And after looking at it, I mean, I was like, you know what, man, I bravo to that guy for number one. I mean, for many reasons, he would have lose a loyal customer. Number two, and usually when something bad happens to a loyal customer, they tell everybody they know. Tom, Dick, and Harry, as my folks will say.
Oh
But
yeah,
you know but secondly,
oh yeah.
listen, it wasn't going to hurt them because they was already giving it for free, so to get a replacement for her, to me, that shows that you appreciate, and that which brings me to the next element. Appreciation of one customer, man, that goes a long way, man. When you appreciate your customer, let me tell you, they will appreciate you right back. They will appreciate you right back. And it all that, and that's why, I always say customer service is a lifestyle, because it's supposed to be a part of you. When you see a customer in a supermarket, you're checking up on them, seeing how they like, just even if it's not to get a sale, just to say what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Jesus might say it's easy to appreciate a customer that appreciates you, but I say go and appreciate that customer that does not appreciate you.
Hmm. Tell us, how does one do that?
You know, I think it starts by not taking it personal, realizing that
Don't take it
when
personal,
people
it's just
come,
simply business. I agree to that to a certain degree, but for the most part, I take issues with that. That statement, I take issue to it, and here is why. If customer service is a lifestyle, it's a part of you. If someone does something, let's say it was legally correct, but everybody know that it was morally wrong. Listen, it is personal because they're interrupting your basically your life flow, like your bread and butter, how you live. You know what I mean? Your resource. It's like somebody cutting off your blood source, basically, like if they had a heart attack, almost. That's why I really don't. It's business, yes, but like if you see, when a service is done or something is done, you get a product. It's supposed to be a happy time because it was a fair exchange. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. I disagree. I think that I'm just looking at it from a point of actually dealing with and being in the customer service industry. You're in the customer service industry, and the thing is many times, more oftentimes than not, you're just the first guy
Hmm.
they happen to just want to take their frustrations out on. You know, whether you're wearing the Golden Arches hat or you're working at Lowe's or some hardware shop, it doesn't matter. You're there, you represent them. They could be frustrated for so many different reasons. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Like being frustrated
Yeah.
at me isn't going to get you anywhere closer to where you want to go. So that's just something for me that I've taken that helps me to just kind of set myself aside so that I can now help this person.
Uh-huh.
Is I don't take it personally, and I'll tell you why. One of the things that I actually went through is I was working a valet spot, and as I was working that valet spot, I was working the ER department, and the ER department basically um, was closing down. So now there was nowhere for anybody to park, and I was basically told to send people out of the ER department and try to figure out a place to park. And then not only that, but they would say, "Oh, and the ER parking tickets to get you in and out of the garage without paying. Try not to give those out if you can." So not only are people frustrated coming into the ER because they're not sure where they're supposed to park, and I'm sending them down to the parking. I'm also now making them having to
Right.
pay, and not necessarily telling them that I have tickets that could get them out for free. So one of the things that happened is one day a man drops off, or he comes into the ER department. He starts moving cones around that I have blocked off, and I come down just to talk to him. And instantly he
Oh
says,
man.
"I'm parking here. Don't tell me I can't. Don't tow my car." And that's how it's going to be. And so I let him kind of say his thing. I kind of thought for a second. It's about, 6 a.m. I just probably woke up a couple hours ago, and I go, I wait for some time to pass, and I go, "Sir, can I talk to you for a second?" And he
Yeah.
says, "Sure." And he comes over, and I say,
Huh.
"Why do you think that I would tow your car?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know what you guys are doing out here." And I said, "Well, don't you think that it would be better to ask
Uh-huh.
me what we're doing out here as opposed to just telling me you're going to park here?" And he was like, "Well, now that you mention it, yeah, I guess that seems like a good idea." And I said, "Well, what's happening is dot dot dot. They were doing construction, it's a construction zone. I'm having to send people, another direction." And
Uh-huh.
so with that, he goes, "Oh, that makes sense." And I said, "Oh, and by the way, I've got a ticket here that can get you in and out of the parking garage for free, so you don't have to pay." He goes, "Oh wow, thank you, thank you so much."
Nice.
So like instantly right there, I de-escalated the situation. I explained the situation. It wasn't personal, but he definitely came at me personally. Like he was frustrated, and that wasn't the first time that I've had somebody look at me and just like I don't know. I had there was people there that just like cussed me out, and just sped off. Sometimes not even looking where my feet were and coming close to running over my feet. It was a very frustrating situation to be in. So that's the thing that I had to deal with, and so but I didn't take it personally.
Right.
Especially when you look at it from try to look at it from their side. Why are they there? It's 6 in the morning. What were they dealing with? I can't assume anything, but I don't know. They don't know me. I've never met them. They have no reason to be angry with me. I just happen to be there. So it's not always personal.
No, no, no. That and those are
It's
great
just
example, where
sometimes
that's
it's
saying,
just
hey,
part
it's
of
not
life.
personal, it's simply business. But there are times when it is actually personal, and I know plenty, examples on
Yeah,
that. You know what I mean? But I mean, at the end of the day, for the most part, what you're saying, I get it. But like I stated, I agree with that statement to a certain degree, but it just all depends on the scenario. Because there are times where people will do things, definitely to spite
sure.
you and to just kick you out of business, and it was not necessary. You know what I mean? Like for instance, not listen. I honestly believe, and many people tell you, Having competition is a healthy thing, right? All right, nothing is wrong with it. But when there's a monopoly, what tends to happen? You see what I mean? You see, who ends up hurting the most? It's the customers.
That's true.
You
That's
know.
true.
So I said having a competition is very healthy, and the reason why is because when you have a monopoly, who ends up paying for that? The customers.
Okay.
And many times things are done for whatever reason, and you might say yes, nothing is personal, but like for instance, when people have what you call it, their stores and everything. Now I get it, there's sometimes people just have to adapt, and they did not
Mm.
adapt to the way the market was going, and hence their business closed. That is totally understandable. But rivalry, nothing wrong with that. But then some people take cheap shots. They show some ad. It's clearly below the belt. There are times when things are personal to me. Like for instance, a perfect example. I got a perfect example. When someone oh man, don't you hate when let's say you're in sales, and then someone knows you're in sales in this particular area. For in my case, I'm doing solar. Somebody knows I do solar,
Sure. Yeah.
but then they
Yeah. In those
and
scenarios,
and,
for
and
sure.
for some reason they end up buying the same thing you're offering, and from your same company, but with someone else. That hurts. That hurts. You know what I mean? Let's say
Hmm.
I work at a car dealership. They come to the same car dealership where I work, knowing that I work there, but end up buying from someone else. And I was like, man, I could have helped you. Any car dealer person who
Hmm.
knows what I'm talking about will tell you, yeah, that does hurt. It's below the belt, especially if it's close to home.
Yeah, but that's also the customer's choice. Like the customer doesn't have to
That is
choose
true.
you to
That
buy
is
their
true,
car.
and you're 100% right.
I mean, even though like let's say you worked at a
Hmm.
dealership, and I know you did, and I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
came to you about my car because I was willing to come to you about that. But I wouldn't necessarily feel obligated, like, oh, I need to see Elton because he's my friend, and I got to make sure
Hmm.
I get him a sale. Like, I don't feel obligated to necessarily do that, but I would if that's
Now
something I
keep this in
decided to
mind.
do, I guess. But yeah, no,
If
I
the
mean,
person doesn't know you work there, and they just so happen to do that, and they already had other arrangements, I totally understand that. But if here's where I take issue with it. If number one, they know you work there, and then they could have arranged with you because you guys are friends, you guys kick it, and you know they've it's to the point where you guys are close. You know what I mean? That
so you're saying that if I knew you worked at, let's say, I don't know, Subaru, and I came in to go buy a Subaru, and I didn't come in to see you,
Oh
like you would feel
yeah,
hurt if I bought
knowing
a
knowing
car
that
with
I know you was looking for a
Bobby
car, and
Joe.
I was always encouraging to come see me, and then you just came and ordered it hurts, man. Yeah, that's
All
personal
right, I can
right
see
there.
that. I mean, there's a little context there, but that's like if you're adding like, yeah, I've told you to come in. We've talked about it, and you were saying you were thinking about you were on the fence. That's different. But like, if
Hmm.
I knew you worked there, but we'd never talked about it,
Uh,
like, oh, I'm gonna come look at a car. Like, I wouldn't necessarily feel obligated to come see you if we've never even talked about coming and seeing each other. I wouldn't necessarily feel obligated to come to just to see you. Like, I'm just there to
man,
buy a car.
to avoid names.
But because of how I am, I'm gonna definitely make sure we're good friends. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna make sure that I hook up my friend with a car. But if it's also just some random guy I met at, you know, I don't know, flag football that we play on Sundays, he's like, oh yeah, come on in. Like I don't
Hmm.
feel obligated to him to have to see
Yeah.
him to buy my
Hmm.
car. You know what I mean?
Like
That's
I'm gonna
definitely
share experience
circumstantial.
with you, and I remember this. I remember at first it had hurt, but I was like, you know what? I'm bigger than this. I'll just get over it. But I remember I was helping someone go solar, and this particular couple didn't. did at the time, I showed them the proposal. They liked it. They said, you know what, we're not ready now. We'll call you when we're ready. And I remember I was like, okay, no problem. All of a sudden, I'm at work and I'm hearing one of my other what do you call it, coworkers saying, "Hey, do you know so and so?" And I was like, "Yeah." I went over there. They're not ready. And he was like, "Well, I sold them last night." And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And I was like, how is that
Oh,
possible? And a lot of people could have said, hey, you could have been angry with your coworker because they know that was your lead. But I was not even angry at him. I felt hurt because I was like, they told me, number one, and I knew them personally because hey, I've stayed at their place and everything. They've hosted me many times. For lunch, dinner. So it's like we know it's not. We're a little bit more than acquaintances at this point in time. And they still
right,
it's the
right,
same company, the same proposal, but they chose to go with someone else. And they could simply call me. And
right.
that I was like saying that to me that was a low blow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I'll play devil's advocate too, where it was like I know that I've dealt with people that for some reason or another, even though you think that they know that you work somewhere or that they know what you're doing, sometimes people aren't necessarily thinking about it. So it's possible that they forgot. It's possible they didn't care. It's really tough to say, but what I will say is at the end of the day, what's really important is whether or not they come in. We, it's not going to determine your success. That won't determine your success. It only it only shows what where their mind is. You know what I mean? And
Right.
maybe your mind, you're more thoughtful. Maybe you'll think more now that you're on that side of it. You're gonna run into a situation where you'll be more thoughtful about it. If you run your own company, if you're in a relationship, whatever, you're gonna be more thoughtful about it. You're gonna be careful on how it is that you execute certain things. So regardless of how, which people know where you are or what you're doing and what they want to help you with, it doesn't determine your success.
Yeah, yeah. That no, no, no. That's true, and that's very important to keep in mind. Listen, there'll be people who say yay, and there'll be people who say nay, and there'll be people who just downright just swerve and hurt you, on the way. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to let it keep you down, or just use it as a stepping stone, man, to keep you
And
going.
I want to say too, and I don't want it to get it twisted. Like we don't need people to be successful. That's not true. But I
We
do
don't
want to
need. We
say,
want people to be successful. We want people to
yeah,
be
you want
happy.
people, but you want the right people, and it's just gonna happen. It's not gonna be always the right person around that should be around, and ultimately, it's like Steve Jobs. When he was still alive, he did not need me to buy an Apple to be successful. He already was. From the moment he came up with it, he had already had reached, millions of other people, and now people use his product all over the world. He if I just suddenly dropped off the map and stopped using Apple products, I don't see anybody looking at it and saying, "Oh, Chris just dropped off. We're losing business." And one person doesn't necessarily make or break a good product, a good business. Um, it's just preference.
Well, what you're saying, I see what you're saying, but listen, I think there's a lot more than meet the eye to that. There's a lot more. And here is why. Can one person make a difference? Oh, yeah, I think so. Because let's say something very bad happened to someone, and it so happened to be someone that is in the, is basically have the eyes for, like, a lot of people look up to this individual. For instance, perfect example. Let's say something went down with Apple and Beyonce. It happened to Beyonce and it wasn't a good experience, and she tweets about it. You ever heard of the Beehive?
Mm-hmm.
bro, that can be trouble, man. That can be
Mhm.
trouble. So, I honestly think one person can make a difference, a difference. And it doesn't, and trust me, it doesn't have to be a big star. That's not the point I'm trying to say, is because, listen, she dared to step out and do what she do best, and the rest was history. And the
Well, I
same
think
thing is good for anybody,
I would argue that I hear what you're saying, but one person
it
that
all
that
depends.
experiences, the same service that another experiences is going to be completely different. And if the business is sweet, if how they conduct their customer service is nice, if they remember you by name, and they they give you your regular, and it's the same, you know same every time, or it's got adjustments to where it's gotten better. There's bound to be some off moments. There are bound to be some people who aren't happy, but it's not gonna break those people, because if your business is as sweet as it should be,
Uh-huh.
if it's nice as it should be, you're gonna make those adjustments. You're gonna make
Right.
those adjustments, and it's like you watch these shows where, like, now, like, oh, this dive bar or whatever, you got people sitting around, and look at Gordon Ramsay, right? He walks into this establishment, and he sees what's going on with this establishment. He makes a spectacle of it. And then he starts breaking down and showing everybody what it is that they're doing wrong. Then he fixes it. And then he
Hmm.
says, all right, I've shown you how to do this. The rest is up to you. He's like, I've
Yeah.
shown you how to do this. The rest is up to you. And there are many people who came back. There are many people who came back, and they said, okay, you
Hmm.
know, this place has gotten a lot better, or this place has gotten worse. So, like, I just think, I just personally think that if you're doing what you need to do, and you're doing it right, and you're doing it masterfully,
Hmm.
I think that one person who's unhappy will not determine the rest of your success. I think that it will be a bad moment. I think you'll
Oh
learn
yeah.
from it.
Oh yeah.
I
Hmm.
think that you'll make and if you're smart, you'll make the adjustment, and then you'll keep going forward. And that's
I no no no. I agree with you, but let's turn it another way. What's the difference between $100 and $100,000?
what's the difference.
Yeah.
Well, mathematically, like, you want me to do that right now in my head, or
You know
I
what?
should
I'll
rather
save you the trouble. One customer. Dead
one
serious.
customer. There you go. You
Because
say I
at
would
the
have
end
to
of
grab
the
a
day,
calculator for a second.
and the reason why I say
I
that,
didn't pass algebra. I didn't pass algebra. No, I did, but it was challenging. I definitely was challenged.
bro,
Math is not my forte.
but the reason why I say that is because customer service can be the difference between $100 and $100,000. I kid you not. One person,
Absolutely.
and especially in today's world where social media is a big sales attractor, that's even better because
Absolutely.
you treat somebody horrible, especially and they see the customer service. You probably have lost over 12 people that may have just stumbled into your store, and truth be told, they can still stumble into your store even after, but truth is, depending on how much influence that person have on them, like for instance, people buy brand because of loyalty, whatever the case may be, or like I know many people would travel on an airline, and based on how they was treated, they'll say, "Man, I'm always flying on this airline, or I'm never flying." And I know you know what I'm talking about, Chris. You know what I mean?
Hmm. No,
So it all makes
absolutely,
a difference to me.
absolutely. But you don't get there without making some mistakes,
No,
or
no, no.
you
Wait,
don't
wait.
get there
Can,
without
can I
making
just
some.
can I just say something? There's not. I'm not faulting mistakes, but when you don't own up to it, or when you own, like for instance, a perfect example, Samsung. Do you remember when they had that explosion cell phones?
I do.
You
That
know,
was an issue. That was an issue.
yeah, that was a huge mistake. Many people argue that, but you remember. They owned up to it. They apologized. They actually paid to be shipped back and everything. And for some
Mhm.
people, they reimbursed them. They went out of their way. Keyword
Right.
customer service. Now,
Right. And so I
what
feel like
about
at this
what
point you're
about
kind of
oh, go
proving
ahead.
my point.
But yeah, no. I think we are both on the same page now that I'm thinking about it, but we probably just seen it from different perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're proving my point at this. They made the adjustment, and Samsung is still here today. I currently have a Samsung phone, and I'll probably the next phone I buy will be a Samsung
Why is that?
because they made the adjustments. They made the adjustments, and every time I use a Samsung product, I'm happy with it.
Right.
And that's
Now,
my point. That's
what
my
if
point.
it,
It's
oh,
like
that's your point. Oh, okay.
when we talked about a customer. If somebody does not choose you that knew you or or and should come talk to you about buying a car or by getting a solar panel, yeah, it might sting a little bit, but that's not going to determine your success. What you could do is you could even maybe confront them. You could say, "Man, I just noticed you didn't come to me. Is there a reason why you didn't come to me?" Uh, you know, I'd like to kind of get to the bottom of that. So if that's you taking initiative to make an adjustment, if if there's a reason why maybe they went with somebody else, but at the end of the day, if what you're doing is masterful and you're reaching people to sell solar panels or cars or whatever it is that you want to sell, you know, if the product is good and the service that comes with it is amazing, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be okay.
That's true. That's true. I agree. Man, man, I'm telling you. Well, if since you put it that way, I think we basically on the same page because at the end of the day, like my mommy would say, when you're good, and
You're
that's
good.
that.
You're good. That's that.
And at the end of the day, what's yours? This is another quote from my mom. What's yours is yours. Nobody could take that from you.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours is yours. When you're good, you're good. That's two
Mama said it
sweet
best.
proverbs for you there, wrapped
Listen,
up.
folks, I feel like this is not the first time we're gonna hear Elton's mama quotes, so we're gonna want to be on the lookout for that. What a great show! We
Yes,
want
sir.
you guys to stay tuned for the next show. It's just gonna get better and better. You're gonna get to see us grow. You may hate us, you may love us, but we're going to be growing. We're going to be getting better and better every time. And we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Find us
Click
on
that
find
like
us on
button.
Facebook.
Please subscribe.
Yeah, drop kick that bell on YouTube. YouTube is where you're going to be able to hear our episodes. You're going to be able to follow us on our journey as we really delve into topics on relationships, things like, how to conduct yourself as a person in business and just at home. We're going to be talking about just how to be better, just in all around being better. And we don't always know all the answers, so we're going to go try to find them. We want to hear from you guys. Write comments, subscribe, drop kick that like button, follow us on YouTube. We really need it. Subscribe, all of that.
And Chris, don't forget, tell them where else they can find us.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook is currently what we have going on. We will probably get a Twitter account up eventually, but we don't currently have that just yet. But
But if we
um,
do, you will see it on the link down below.
click the link down below.
Yes,
We have
sir.
any other announcements we want to talk about?
Well, stay tuned to another episode, man, because you do not want to miss it. Me and Chris work hard. We get excited during the day. We call and just said, yo, guess what happened? You definitely want to hear about it. So stay tuned because, hey, on the road to greatness, there's a lot of things you have to see and experience. Right, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, on that note, we'll see you next time on the road to greatness.